Andariki Namaskaram. So this is another collaboration that we are doing with Film Kopat. So Film Kopat is another YouTube channel that do wonderful reviews, wonderful interviews. So I would especially stress on their reviews. They are very crisp, on point, and they want to say what they want to say, and they just go off. Their interviews are also very interesting, and they also do. So I am not sure if they themselves call it podcast, but yeah, they are in that zone. Uh, so please do check them out. We already mentioned their handles in couple of live sessions also. Uh, so this particular session is on Virata Parvam. So initially we had no plans of doing anything on Virata Parvam because there were not so many good things to say about the film. I did not watch the film earlier. Prithvi watched it, but he said that we can do if you watch the movie, but my brother and all were like, it's not such a good movie, so I just dropped the idea. But then at later point, I watched Film Ko Path's review, and they had a lot of good things to say about the movie. So that is the reason why I watched the movie, and then I pitched the idea also, if they can collaborate with us. So yeah, thanks Arup for joining us.
Thank you, Sandhya, for your kind words. Thank you, Prithvi. Yeah, let's discuss.
Yeah,
Sure.
so from my first impression, so I was very pessimistic about the movie. Yeah? Even though I like the director very much, the earlier work he did, I really liked it. We have done quite a bit of content on that particular film as well. But I thought the movie is good, and there is a lot of subtext in the movie which we can ponder upon. But there is this thing, right? The movie is based on a core idea that she develops interest towards him with his writings. So that idea only I was not able to buy. But so that is the reason why I can't say that I completely love the movie, but it is a very good movie in a lot of aspects. Yeah.
All right. So my initial thoughts are, since I've seen the film when it debuted on Netflix, so a couple of months ago. So that reaction itself was on similar lines of what Sandy has said. Although I did buy the idea of Vanilla pursuing Ravi Anna and his, because Ravi Anna's writings were so revolutionary, and she fell in love with the revolution and the idea and his writings, and that translated to her love for him. I did buy the idea, and I knew where the film was going, but I did not predict the end, and I definitely did not predict what actually Virata Parvam meant and how the director uses that in the second half. So all of this were a big surprise for me, and because I have not read Mahabharatam, that's the reason. But after it ends, I really liked how he says that he has taken inspiration from a real life incident that happened in 1992 or 98, if I'm not wrong. And he actually shows the clippings of the paper articles that were published at that point in time. And I paused the screen and I actually read a few of those, and they say a lot of what has happened, and they say both sides, how the press has reported and how the police have reported, and how the dalam in the sense army, revolutionary army, has reported on that particular incident. So I think I had mixed feelings after I finished the film, but I absolutely loved the conviction with which the filmmaker and his team were going forward. uh, and I absolutely love the music and multiple other technical aspects. So that's what I fell in love with, if I have to use the same words. So, but not entirely with the core idea. I mean, I really appreciated how Venu Udugula, the director, was giving voices to all kinds of arguments in the film. There was left, there was right, there was center. So I think we can ponder on that. So that were my initial reactions to the film.
Yeah, I think so. So when I approached the film, I went for Sai Pallavi, very frankly speaking.
Right.
I just love her and her acting, all her roles. So I went in to watch another Sai Pallavi movie, and it appeared to be something different from what she does, and she does so different from what she does. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was the entry point. And then, as you say, if I have to tell that, was it all convincing? Were you happy with everything that was done? No, maybe not. I think we mentioned in the review as well, the ending, though the ending is all fine, we felt that the ending does not thematically kind of attach to the rest of the movie. We thought that it could have been better. But having said that, there are quite a few subtexts that we really liked a lot. Like you say, there is right, there is left, there is center, and the way it is done. So here it's like, it does have this kind of, a support, a kind of sympathy towards the extreme left. And yet, it is also not shying away from showing that there are problems inside. It also brings in a mythological element to a communist element, which is so interesting. That was really interesting for me. And that's so much the fabric of the country, right? Like we are not anything in specific. We are everything together. And that's what we are. So I remember there was this, I don't think we have spoken this in the review, but I remember there was this one incident when Sai is actually in search of Ravanna. She's looking for him. And while she's moving around in the streets, they show her passing a mosque and then passing a temple. Then there is a Gandhi statue she passes by. Then there is a film poster she passes by. It's kind of, she's passing through India and finding her arc. So those small subtext, small touches that the film had, that really interested us so much. So, when I look at a movie, more than the story, I look for the subtext, these nuances that attract me so much. So that way, Virata Parvam was very interesting. Also, when I think about, say, a big starer Telugu cinema, it mostly comes from a point of, say, there are certain expectations. There will be a mythological element. There will be some hero entry. Here, yes, there was a mythological element, yet it's so different. Here it kind of has the, the entry or the birth of a heroine in place of a hero, like we were talking about in our review. These subversions were very interesting, which we really liked.
Truly. There is a lot of thought that had gone into doing, say, for example, the opening stretch where Vanilla is born and how she is born in between a war, and how he translates that, and of course, it's a foreshadowing where she also dies in a war. I mean, it's not exactly translated well, like you said. It's not sitting well with the whole theme of the film that precedes to that climax. But yeah.
Before diving into the movie, I just want to give a context. So initially, it was United Andhra Pradesh, right? It had Telangana and it had Andhra. And most of the filmmakers, I would say 90% of the filmmakers would come from the Andhra part of region, because that, so this Telangana was under Nizam rule, and that rule was quite extensive. And whatever happened here, so people were very poor as such. There is no money in the hands of people. But the other side, the Andhra side, since lot of rivers like Godavari and Krishna pass through most of the districts, people were very rich as such. People now also in Andhra side are very rich because the agriculture is very good there. So the voices of Telangana are slowly coming up, and Venu Udugula is one such voice. So he mentions in one of his interviews that he is from a village near Warangal where he has seen all of this stuff. He has grown up seeing Naxalites in his neighborhood and stuff. So that is why we see how well it is translated on screen. So, and one other question I wanted to ask you was, so Venu Udugula is a poet himself. So he's a poet first and then a filmmaker. And while I was watching the movie, I could see his poetry. How did you feel about that? Because it is obviously a different language for you. But
it is a different language, but then, as you say, that poetry, that it is coming from a person of art, someone from with a lyrical view, that was very evident. Those poems that Vanilla reads when she's falling in love, they are very interesting. But I was really touched by this poem about the mother. Like, Mother, the revolution thanks you. That was really touching. That set piece itself was, one of the highlights, one of the key points of that movie, because in this movie, while we are talking about two sides clashing and all, it is so much that, these characters, the supporting characters, our mothers, our sisters, our aunts, they are not spoken about so well. But this movie, it does not take a lot of time to talk about it. It's not that there is a big set piece. It's taking a lot of time investment in terms of, giving a detailed kind of emotional discussion or something with the mother and the son. It just touches upon it very, very, very subtly. It shows, what kind of pain and what kind of torture these people also have to go through. Similarly, there is this teacher character and all of that. So it kind of created a universe of its own for me. It's not that one, hero and a heroine and they are the middle of things. It has so many threads which created that universe for me. And yes, I really loved that poem. I did not get the exact verse, but then as it was, as thanks to Netflix, whatever they were telling me in subtitles, I often hear that they are not the best subtitle creators, but then that was really, really touching. Yeah.
Yeah, truly. Adding to what Sandy has previously said about Venu Udugula and how the representation of Telangana and the rural Telangana dialect, I think they nailed that dialect in this film very well. Actually, there are certain nuances which I cannot say in English, but the way Sai Pallavi pronounced certain words in her dubbing as well, and how she has acted while she's lip syncing with that dialogue, that's beautifully done. Even Ravi Anna, played by Rana Dagubati, he also does that. And also there is this the father character in one of the scenes in the second half. He says that he's a player of an instrument called Ogu. He says Ogu Kada. Ogu Kada is kind of a profession per se.
Okay.
So Ogu is a kind of musical instrument, and these people of his lineage, or quote unquote his caste, they earn money through that kind of art. So he says in the film as well, he says he had never left his art, no matter how the world around him has changed, no matter how people have looked down or frowned upon him, saying that you must leave this profession, go do some farming or go do some business or etc. But he had never left that art because he had loved his art, and that's why he empathizes with Sai Pallavi, Vanilla character, when she is pursuing her love. So that particular scene in the second half. So all these little nuances are rural to the Telangana region, Telangana area. So, and the Batukama, of course, the Batukama festival where Vanilla sees Ravana for the first time.
Yeah.
So all these representations, that's very well. He's championing his culture and absolutely great at it.
True. Yeah, I thanks for telling that, because those are a few things which is specific to the dialect, specific to the language. Those are the few things that we miss. But now that I understand, I can relate to it because I mean, if you see a couple of which I did, I think I had seen Gargi just after this one, Virata Parvam,
Right.
and it was a different sounding Sai Pallavi, if I am not wrong. So that way, it makes sense when you say that they followed the local dialect to a good extent. Yeah.
They did. Yeah, truly.
And I think the characterization itself, the way they show the character of Vanilla, I mean, it's so rooted, it's so real. It's not like, generally what we see is this person is absolutely, everything is white, no problem. But here, when they have this fight about her marriage, she pushes her mother. She falls down. So those are things, you generally do not get them. They always show, oh, she's so good. She's like everyone will be, who is the protagonist, will be great in every respect. These gray areas that they show, which is so common, right? I mean, when we have a quarrel, we do not always think that way. And she was at a loss of words and she was not sure of what to do. So that's a very obvious response that she has. But films generally shy off from them, which this one does not.
True.
Also coming to that, right? So we see that Vanilla is born in a war, like she's literally born in the war. And after once they show that she's having a very normal childhood until she starts reading his literature. And you see that after that she slowly starts becoming aggressive also, because she's understanding the ideas of Ravana, and why they are doing what they are doing. Uh, because they also show in an earlier scene that they do not want children to read this book, because they also will sort of go to revolution. And that is why, right, when her friend says that I want this book, then when my brother was reading it, my father or my mother scolded and threw the book away. So basically they do not want their children to go into war, and they are happy. Uh, so as they show, right, the police are sort of playing a double game with the media and with the landlords, and they are sort of, the landlords are still oppressing even after the so-called freedom from Nizam has been given to them. uh, so it is very interesting how a soft spoken girl goes from being very normal to very aggressive after reading that particular literature. What basically art does to a person. And since his father is also, I mean, her father is also an artist, there is something that she connects there as well, because right from childhood they show that she's listening to his father's poem, her father's poems. So she's very well connected with art anyways. But that particular 15 to 20 minutes stretch shows how much of an influence an art can have on a person, and why communists as such have very strong songs and very strong literature to them.
You are right. You are right. Whenever we see, if, a lot of times we see that, when oppressors strike, they kind of go and burn the libraries because art is something everyone is very afraid of. And this film actually beautifully shows that. It shows that in her childhood, she is playing with this doll, the Krishna idol and all. And then when she grows up, the books becomes her companion. You are very right on that point that his father is also an artist. I think one character also mentions it is because of the father who has been telling you these stories and these, songs and everything, that you have become like this. And that that push or that inspiration of leaving home, I think, if I remember, she gets with this conversation with her father, right? When she asks about, do you think Mira did the right thing? And he says, yes, she did, because she was just pursuing love. So yes, art does have that power, and art has that kind of a conviction on you that you do things which you never think of doing. And that is the beautiful thing about this film. Like, this idol also she has, it's of course something to do with our religion, our mythology, our belief, but it is also a piece of art. It's such a beautiful piece of art, that doll. And the way she paints this mustache on the Krishna idol, and we were telling in the review that the Krishna becomes the Ravana, and that is the way things happen today. How the subversions happen, a communist leader becoming a version or an image of the god. That's so interesting. And I also love this fact they do not spell it out. They do not have a dialogue telling, this, you are my Krishna, my Ravana is my Krishna, something like that. It's just for interpretation. You take it, you can still enjoy the film for the surface level as well.
True. That actually shows how skilled the writer director is, the subversion tool. And
there is also a shot where, like, he literally attaches mustache to that idol.
Right? In the song montage. Yeah. And also initially when her mother is farming and all, she says, she throws away the idol and says, go study, but she jumps into the well for that idol. So that shows how much stubborn she is, and she tries to get what she wants no matter what. And later, as you have mentioned, her father's influence is heavily on her. It is shown through two conversations. One conversation when her father says, you will know there are two important days in your life. One is when you're born, and the other day when you realize why you're born. So that why you're born, she gets the answer through the literature, and she fixates on meeting this person and eventually loving him. And the other scene is where she actually takes inspiration from Mirabai, and she questions her choice of leaving her house, and her father defends, saying that for love is the purest thing, and it's almost equal to God. So, and you can't refute that. So that's why you have to pursue what you love. So she takes, so that and as you have mentioned, the juxtaposition of God and communism together in a film, it's absolutely great.
And also think about, like we always say, the difference between the art and the artist. Here also we see the art, those manifestos or those books that Ravanna writes, it will give you a very different image of this person is. And I'm not telling this person is a bad person, but that this person is also flawed is something she realizes only after she meets him. This
Correct.
person, to start with, does not have those emotions of love. He thinks that love is actually something which will hold you back.
Yeah.
It will create, betrayals and all of that. And at the end of the day, we also see that he kind of wrongs her, wrongs her, that takes her life. So that's also what we see in society. Like, you would be absolutely in love with some artist for their creation, but when you meet this person, you still meet the person who has created that, but you will also get a few things that you thought would not be a part of this person from the creations itself.
Right.
Right.
That difference,
There is a
I mean, if you think about it, there are so many subtle things in the film. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so that is another very big debate, right? The art versus the artist. Whether, if like, do we associate everything that the artist is saying to him? There is this proverb, right? Practice what you preach. But in case of artist, I don't think that sits well with him, because artists strive on imagination, right? And whatever he is imagining, he cannot practice, right? So yeah, this is a very big debate. Each one of us have individual thought process through it, but yeah, as you said, it is a very, very good thing that he has introduced in the movie. Yeah, I agree. I mean, extending this argument, in case of current day cancel culture, right? There is
We are
basically
cancelled
the art and
right
the
now.
artists are not separated at all. If something is written, if there's something, let's say a singer Karthik, right, down south, he has an allegation of Me Too on him, but he's an amazing singer. Or there is a lyricist called Vairamuthu in Tamil Nadu, and there is a multiple people have spoken against him. Like, he's a veteran. He's around 70-75 years old. uh, he is wrong, but whatever the art he has produced, not sure if everything we can reject it, because it is also beautiful. We can reject the person for sure. We should probably, if he's found guilty, the law should take care of its course. But should we reject his art as something? I'm not very sure. Maybe many people may cancel me also for saying this out loud. But that is what I feel in this debate. Yeah.
I mean, this is such a difficult one to address. I mean, I don't know what to say. But then I too feel like that, frankly speaking, because see, there are certain things that come in the media, come to the surface, and there are others do not. If you really, I mean, there might be persons whom we think that this person is like the art he or she creates. But if you talk to the close friends, if you talk to the family, you might find certain other things as well. I mean, as an individual, we are all flawed human beings. Like, no one can say I am all in white. I do not have any problems with myself or at all. Yes, there are certain things which cannot be accepted. And I think when the media or the society comes out, faces certain things like that, I understand when they lose their temper, when they come out that way. And it's also very difficult, where we draw the line, which is your baseline of tolerance might not be mine. So I think it's left to the individual how you take it. But I feel if we are pragmatic enough, we should be able to differentiate between the art and the artist. At least I do. But if you do not, I will not be able to say you are wrong.
Right. Agreed. Fully agreed on that. Because uh, there is, I think there is some personality that comes with the art also, and maybe some people are not able to completely differentiate that. Yeah. Again, this is a very personal debate to each and every individual themselves. Yeah, I think we should leave it just at that
Yeah,
and
yeah.
move on. Yeah.
So yeah, let me bring you back to the film. So in there is again one detailing in the lyrics when uh, Vanilla is actually reading the literature. So the lyricist, I mean the singer in the background, he introduces Ravanna to her, saying that he is the Udyama Nelabaludu. Udyamam is revolution. Nelabaludu means the moon. So the reference, the lyricist referencing Aranya as in Ravanna as Nelabaludu or moon, again Vanilla having the same name. Vanilla is again moon. So I think he was trying to mirror, saying that they are actually the same people, or they kind of have the same personalities or ideologies, but again when it comes to actual physical confrontation, and by the end of the film, they stand opposite and one of the person dies. So I think that the reflection, the mirroring was desperate. I'm sorry, deliberately they use
Yeah, I
this
think so. Yeah.
word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. In there are ways where I would feel that Vanilla is even having a better understanding of what the revolution is than any of those men. Like this incident of the police, right? When she
correct.
steps up and tells that this is to hurt a unarmed man is not revolution. That is not coming from your manifesto. And then they realize. And we also see, her approach to the revolution is through care, through love, through faith and trust. Whereas these people, of course, for reasons of their own, because of the covert operations they have faced and the paranoia that comes within, and they have seen number of times their friends dying in front of their eyes. I would absolutely understand that why the trust is not there, why at every point of doubt they would be doubting what is happening, who is the spy and all of that. But that's also the character of a person, right? We show our characters only when we can stick on to our virtues in the face of all those problems, which she does, and this big group does not. So that way I feel that she kind of surpasses her teacher as well, from where she gets the inspiration. She surpasses, and the story is coming from her point of view. So obviously, I think that's what the
Correct.
director also wanted to show. Yeah.
Correct.
And
Correct.
also, vanilla means moonlight, not moon. So there is
Right.
a
Okay.
So
uh,
probably okay then. She's a projection of that guy's ideology or that guy's ideas in a way, right?
Yeah.
right,
Right.
right. That is very evident, right? Because after reading I mean, his literature only, she goes. Yeah, and also coming to Arup's point, uh, there is one particular dialogue that says half of the people are joining revolutions because they have a personal vendetta, because they have
Yes.
lost a personal one, and not because they want to sort of create a change in society where everyone is equal, and landlords, whoever is there, they go back, like the system is sort of equal to everyone. That point is also spelled out in the movie, uh, but also through Pallavi's character. Another interesting thing is, like this point we've been speaking, but the character of Nandita Das, the teacher character, uh, she also, like, there is a conversation between Vanilla and teacher, right, where she says she also came into the revolution because of love, and since I have lost my husband, I'm still carrying on the revolution. Why do you think that dynamic has to be established in the movie between them?
Uh, I personally thought Nandita Das' character could have been better structured, could have got more impact on the film. Uh, Coming to your question, why they do so, I think They do so because they try to show that, irrespective of whatever happening, irrespective of this strong character, there's a certain arc we still have for women in our society. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a personal feeling only. Like, there's an eventuality of the woman in our society anyway. I have also seen this in a lot of Ritik Ghatak movie, where the woman, how strong they are, or whatever they do, whether they are the sacrificing self, or whether they are a very strong and protesting woman, they kind of go to a similar eventuality. So I think, they kind of show that at the end of the day, there's something waiting for you, which is still to change in this country, in this society, irrespective of the very different arcs the women take. Maybe so, maybe so. I'm not very sure. But as I was telling you, I felt if that character could have been a bit more impactful, a bit more well constructed. Even Priyamani's character, I thought she was pretty unutilized, apart from only towards the end of the movie. I expected a bit more from them, actually.
I agree with you on the point where you mentioned Priyamani's character could have been more fleshed out. Even I felt the same when I watched it both times. And going back to your previous point, saying how she sees where the revolution ends and where the revolution actually begins, and how there is empathy in her when the quote unquote enemy does not have any weapon in his hand. So she eventually ends up saving the policeman, right? I think because she is younger than Ravanna. I mean, we can assume that she's younger than Ravanna, and maybe that that she's younger, and her new, or maybe new way of thinking and new way of interpreting that what do you say, revolution is giving her these kind of ideas, and maybe maybe she's the personification of love or empathy in the whole dalam, or whole army, because at every point in the film, and especially in the climax, she is the only one raising voice for the life, or saying that you have to look at this from a different perspective as well, not only through your revolution. You have to give respect to the person as well. That is not what the seniors of the dalam also say. They say, do not believe even if the person is blood relative of you. So I think that comes from their own. Yeah, Sandy was saying.
I think you're partially correct. I think there is a bigger art to it. Let's see. I mean, I'm not a big expert. I've read very few, but I know bits and pieces of this. Let's take the example of China. China is a communist country, right? But there is only Chinese Communist Party that keeps on ruling. The same is the case with Russia as well. So there is a dialogue of Pallavi in the end where she says, all of this you're doing, is it because of your literally love towards having a singular space for everyone, or because you want to be in power? Because whatever we have seen right now in the world, at the end, after the revolution, there is no direction, right? The Communist Party takes over and it sort of becomes autocratic. So here also in the dalam, when all of them are sort of in the revolution, or the only intention they have is revolution, they are so filled of themselves. But Pallavi is still, I mean, Vanilla is still very naive or new, and she's basically idealistic about communism as well, right? She's sort of thinking from first principles of communism. But these guys have been there for a long time, and these guys only see it one way, but she's seeing the other way. She's sort of following the initial principles laid by the Communist Party itself. So that is the difference, is what I thought. Yeah.
And I think that is also a practical thing. She is, if I take it in a different perspective, maybe she represents the theory. Be communism or any ism, the theory, when you actually try to implement it, takes a very different shape, as we see happening for them. Like, I am reminded, because you were telling that, Sandelia, I was reminded of this one movie The Lobster by Yorgos Lanthimos, a Greek movie. I'm not sure if you have watched. That's also a very interesting movie where they show that there's this society who has a very specific set of rules. No one can break those rules. And the protagonist moves from that society to the group of revolutionary who is trying to fight that society, and they have a set of rule of themselves. So it's actually the mirror. Based on what your rules are, you are basically on the same side. And I think that happens with all the ism. And that is also a good part of the movie, that the movie, though it sympathizes with communism or sympathizes with extreme left, it does not shy away from the problems it has. It does not shy away from telling that, it's at the end violence, and the violence will have certain things for you to pay. And Sai Vallavi might be this face of non-violence in that world. Like they also show, again, I'm reminded of this scene where they show her walking past the Gandhi statue. But if you really think about, the practicality of non-violence, the practicality of Gandhian principles in the society, more so in the society we live today, you would not be surprised by the end that the character has.
I guess. I mean, the Gandhi statue shot you're referring to comes immediately after, when a guy tries to come on to her or molest her when she's sleeping at on
Yes.
a place.
Yes.
She immediately says, "Do you not have any mother or sister in your home?" She curses him in Telugu, and then she walks past. I think that non-violence was also being translated there metaphorically, and I also thought that quotation, that famous quotation from Gandhiji, when he says, "Real freedom to this country is only when a woman can walk freely and then in the night."
Yeah.
If I'm saying it right or wrong.
Hmm.
So that is probably what he was going for, I thought.
Probably, yeah. That makes it interesting, more interesting.
So yeah, going forward in the film, and again going back to your previous point, she actually in 1-2 places she actually prays to God despite being into the dalam. She's the only one where she prays to God or offers something. Yeah,
That's a good. Now, I mean, that's what I loved about this movie, because it does not show, okay, she has moved into this world, she has understood that, my understanding of religion or my understanding of my childhood is all misplaced and all, and she throws away whatever she was feeling to. She is a person of her own, and she is also attached to this world, and she also does not get detached from that world. So this coming together was really, really beautiful, because I think she is a person of the spirit and not guided by the rules of the world. So if your spirit is in the right place, you will find the essence of religion while you are in a communist dalam, and you will also find communism while you are in a temple.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that dynamic is very interesting. Yeah, true.
Yeah, that is very well, Arup. And I don't think both of us could have done that. Yeah.
And what do you feel about the performances?
Oh yeah,
Rana and Sai.
I mean, Sai Pallavi, we have been a admirer of her work since a long time. So we have mentioned this on our previous podcast as well, and actually we had a chance to talk to the director of Gargi as well, Gautam Ramachandran.
Okay.
So we especially discussed the climax of Gargi, how she performs there, and even this performance is also absolutely great, and I really enjoyed, and I think subconsciously I was also going for the film because of to see her performance as well.
I love that scene. There's this scene that when they finally accept her in the dalam, and Priyamani takes her and puts the military dress on her. She walks in a way and she looks at Rana. It feels like a new bride in her in-laws' place. It's kind of, I am in this bride dress and I'm walking by my husband. That kind of a feeling comes. So the way she looks, she's shy, she's embarrassed, she's also happy, she's feeling a bit proud about what has happened. That was so beautiful. I mean, it's very difficult to express that feeling like, the Sai brings her.
True.
She's so good. She's so good. Yeah.
True.
I think Priyamani, Nandita Das, and Naveen Chandra, all three were very underutilized. Because I've seen Nandita Das, in Kanatin Muttamital, Maniratnam's Amruta. I'm not sure what it is called in Hindi, and she is a brilliant actress.
Yeah.
And Priyamani, I've seen a lot of her works. And Naveen Chandra is also a very good talent. I think all three were very underutilized. I absolutely loved Rana because he accepted to do this movie, because there is no chance any other hero in Tollywood would have done this movie, because he was literally at a back seat. 90% of the screen time is taken by Pallavi. But that is what Rana is. Rana is very, like, Rana also produced the film. That is why we need to appreciate Rana for whatever he is doing to Indian films. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, they are, quote unquote, A-listers, and doing this movie, the content, the characters, the country today, absolutely courageous stuff. Yeah.
He has been championing great storytelling since his debut in films, and he has been a producer. He has been a VFX artist. He keeps telling this in multiple interviews as well. So he has been behind the screen for many years, and he knows that thing. And because he's a son of a producer as well, he knows all that dynamics. But he is always championing good content. So we have to appreciate that.
I think the film was also in production for quite some time, right? Like, it was not coming out for quite some time. That's what I heard. I'm not very sure.
Yes.
True. We don't exactly know what went behind that, but it was held back from release for quite some time, and then the post-pandemic, the post third wave releases started happening, and they held back the film for not giving it to a Netflix release, and then eventually they did release it, but it came out to Netflix very quickly. So yeah, but a direct OTT release would have helped, I thought, but yeah.
It did good business on the theatrical run.
No, it did not. It did not.
Not expected as well.
Yeah. I mean, films of with such ideologies or such kind of topics are rarely encouraged in Telugu film industry. So Telugu.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what also attracted me when I heard that, kind of the synopsis and all, saw the trailer. I was very interested because that's not, first of all, woman arc is not so common in Telugu industry, if I'm not wrong. I'm not very sure, but I whatever limited exposure I had, I felt so. It always comes from the hero side. There are great films actually, but not that many in number. And then the content about this communism and all of that. So yeah, it's a very off the track movie for the industry.
True. Yeah, not exactly mainstream per se for a Telugu audience. Yeah. What did you feel about the police character? Because the guy is very empathetic towards the Naxalites as well. In one of the scenes, he literally says, "Even I was hot-blooded and had those revolutionary ideas when I was in my 20s, but that eventually weared off, and now I'm here serving as a police officer." And he tries to plant a spy in the Dalam. He tries to convince that guy.
So I felt he was manipulating them. I mean,
okay.
I'm not very sure if it was a real picture. I thought that was more of a facade. Okay. That's what I was not very convinced in the way they talk about Virata Parvam and kind of justifies the name. Like, I would think a name of a film, that to a film like this, would come from the perspective of the protagonist and not the police. Like they tell, I am planting people. The Virata Parvam becomes the police in the covert operations. I would feel that something from the, from Rana's character or Pallavi's character would be the name. So a bit unconvinced, a bit unsatisfied that way.
Right.
What do you feel about the tagline? Revolution is also an act of love.
Oh, I really think so. I mean, As they say, love is as difficult a revolution as it can be. I mean, we were also talking about this. There's this school of thought which feels it's only a deterrent. It only gets us into problems, and like Rana's character says, it's unnecessary stuff and all of that. But at the end of the day, uh, I mean, if you take away love, if you take away emotions, if you take away all these feelings from your world, then what I am revolting for? I mean, I am revolting for some love in my life and some, emotion and feeling, spending that time with my mother. Now, I I understand when I get out of it for a greater cause, but I would not be able to understand when I think that is unnecessary, because that itself has set me for this cause, right? So absolutely, I agree to that, and I really liked that part of it. Like, love is an act of revolution. Like, they very beautifully show how uh, Vanilla's love was a kind of revolution in parallel to the kind of revolution we are seeing. But the opposite side, uh, revolution through love was something I was missing. I was thinking, love through revolution was no, love through revolution was there, but revolution through love was a bit missing. I thought if it could, that angle could have been dealt with, it would be better. Like, she really changes a few people around with her feelings, and that is shown. Maybe after they show that, okay, this Dalam has got a bit more considerate in their operations. They actually understand what Marxism or what communism in the first place is about. So there's a change of attitude and feeling that creeps in. I would love that to be there as a kind of, say, a epilogue. Not there. So yeah.
Right. I mean, the film starts off saying that this is my story. I mean, Vanilla is narrating her story. So I thought, if like you said, if Vanilla was the title of the film, and if it was that her story only and not Virata Parvam, it would have made more sense. And revolution is also an act of love would also have made more sense. And ending it without the epilogue, like how it ends right now, would also make sense. But because it is Virata Parvam, and because these guys, Dalam had done a great mistake by the end of the film, and then they being considerate in epilogue would have justified for this title probably.
Yeah,
Virata
that's
Parvam
correct.
title probably. Yeah. And I think I really loved the music. The music is by a guy named Suresh Bobili. He has done Venu Udugula's debut film as well, and few other albums. But what was your experience?
Oh, I love the music. I love the music, really. I mean, it went really well, and the music was actually adding up to the different, the narration, the progression of the film. Like when they introduce Sai's character, the temple sequence, and then the way the music starts. There is this one kind of a set piece that ends, or there is one dialogue exchange, and suddenly there is this music starting. So those punctuations through music was really something I liked.
True. Uh, uh, and in one of the interviews, the cinematographer, Danny Sanchez, and there are two cinematographers for the film. Diwakar Mani is the other guy, and both of them have done a considerable amount of films in Telugu film industry. So Danny Sanchez was talking to Ram Venkat Shrikar. He also happens to be on our podcast quite a couple of times. So he mentioned that a chunk of quote unquote backstory of Ravanna was edited out of the film, and the montages we see when Vanilla is reading his literature are only maybe a percentage or a few of the chunk of the backstory that was edited out. So I think the film was even larger and was probably narrated through his point of view, or maybe there was a backstory in the middle. I'm not sure, but there was a lot of things that was edited out of the film, it seems. Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know if it would have made any difference to the narration, but yeah.
I also love this character. This. I don't know his name, but I have seen so many movies of him. The character whom Sai Pallavi's
Ram
mother
Ramakrishna,
wants.
right?
Okay, yeah. They
Yeah,
want to
he
get her married to him. That's us, right? He says that, forget all of that and get, married to me. We will have kids and have a good life. And he also changes, right? Her leaving home inspires him, and then he kind of stands up to the police and says in that, in the police station, that where are the politicians and where is the policeman when these people torture us? They come and help us, and he gets kicked and all. Yeah, so those are the very small, nuances that I really love. That character could have been just another character, just a comic relief in any other film. Here they show an arc in this character as well, in this idea that, if there is a revolution, if there is a spark around you, everyone to an extent get touched upon.
truly. And also the actor he's a really good actor. He has been in
Yeah,
quite a
he's
few Telugu films. So
yes.
yeah, so and that point where you said the spark actually ignites people, kind of people around him, and yeah, so it would have that her move would have inspired him, and that's why he says all those things. I mean, maybe from his memory or something. I mean, he literally says that when certain things happened, people did not show up, and whatever Ravanna is doing and his Dalam is doing is actually justified. So yeah, true.
I mean, in any other film, it would be like this character, because he has been left by Vanilla. He would be the person, kind of conspiring, giving some cues to where this Dalam is and all. But they show it differently. And like we were discussing earlier, if there's art around you, if there's an artist, if there's these characters in your life, you will change. Yeah. So everyone gets changed to an extent. So that is also very beautiful. So tell me about this real life incident. I have read pieces about it, but I'm not very sure of the complete picture. This incident about Sarala, you are
Right.
aware of it?
I was not aware. I mean, I was not aware until I've seen the film. So I only read the article pieces that were put up in the film. So in one of the articles, it says that she was actually gang raped by the Dalam people, and she was killed executed with bullets and all. And her body was cremated, and it was only what do you say? A press note was released saying that so and so has happened, and this particular person was a police woman. And then there are other articles saying that she was not actually a police woman. She was only a 17 or 18-year-old girl who happened to leave her place and join the Dalam. But the police, they thought that she was a policewoman or a spy, and they killed her without any reason. And they are they want justice, etc. That was written in few other articles. So yeah, but I think he says he has taken inspiration from this article, but I was very perplexed at what was he trying to say at the end. Basically, I mean, that was he saying that communism will kind of do some good, or it's always bad, or I was very confused.
No, that's true. That's true.
At.
I mean, one way of looking at it is he kind of gives a gives a commentary that there's flaws in every ism, and it's all a mesh. It kind of one thrives on the other, and there's no real justice in any of the system. That might be the one way of looking at it. But the other way might be, while he adds on all these layers, the layers we were appreciating, all of that, while he was still trying to get aligned to this basic plot line from where he takes inspiration, they do not gel that well. It could have been a better subversion. It could have been a bit more better writing that could have given a much better film. So the themes that he puts in and that basic storyline that he gets inspired from could have been better synchronized, I guess.
Probably. I mean, me getting confused at the end is kind of a testament to that. I mean, I could not grasp what he was going to do. So yeah, probably. Anything to add, Sandy?
No, I think Yeah, I think the ending was also very grey. I think he purposefully did that. Maybe he thought there is no point in giving a conclusion if this system is good or this system is bad. But yeah, I think it did not translate well to the audience because there was a lot of things that one can pick on from the initial part of it.
And I'm still okay. It's not that it was a big problem for me, because a lot of times, great films ask questions rather than give answers. So it really asks a lot of questions, and he leaves us at that. So let that be. But I kind of feel that would have been better. Maybe writing the ending, maybe an epilogue would have been a bit better. But yeah, happy with the questions he's asking.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of we doing this discussion, I guess. I mean, if not for the questions and if
Yeah,
not for the themes, we wouldn't be talking about the film at least.
right.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. So what is there any frame or is there any scene in the film that has actually impacted you or do you really like?
I
Anything that
really
you can think
love
of?
that one scene I was talking about, when they take dress him as a military
Yeah.
person, and they take her. I really loved that one. Apart from that, uh, let me think.
Anything on you, Sandy?
Uh, no, nothing as such. I think no, nothing as such.
Uh,
Nothing that struck me. I mean, I generally only don't give enough my headspace to cinematography. But yeah,
I mean, I did not mean a technical way, but anyway. So again, going back to that interview which I mentioned. So in that, Danny mentions this one scene which I also actually love, is where Ravanna, Bharataka, and what is his name, Raghuvanna, they are actually discussing who might the coward be, and Raghuvanna is arguing that it's actually Vanilla. So they actually apparently shot it with 3 cameras or 2 cameras. So there was the cuts we see is actually on the edit table, but it was not. It was a single take, it seems, if I'm not wrong. So the whole dynamic that happens between those 3 characters was actually very well staged, is what I thought. I really loved how each argument is actually counter argued very well, and eventually Ravanna loses their argument. So it starts off with Ravanna in power in the scene, but Bharataka is always at the top. So her dynamic actually is going to win eventually when she starts talking, and after she starts and gets into the argument, we end up with concluding that Vanilla is the coward in their group. So it was very well directed and staged. That's my favorite scene in the film.
If I talk about camera in particular, I think I love that scene. There is this one scene when Vanilla is in the teacher's house and they are sitting facing each other. It's complete dark and they are sitting, those two
Correct.
characters are lighted. It
Correct.
feels like, these two ladies in a dark world, and they are talking to each other. They are trying to access each other, one thinking about the past and the other thinking about the future, and they will culminate at the same point at some point of time. That one I liked.
True. Uh, you mentioning dark and lightness actually reminded me of one thing which I actually observed through the film. So there is always how he plays with shadows and light from the start. So I think Vanilla is the kind of light in this whole quote unquote darkness or dark world or maybe dark ideology, whatever, to each their own interpretation. And the colors also actually, the color grading actually downgrades the colors as the movie progresses. You can see the colors are actually bright and saturated in the start and the whole song in the first half, but
Right.
eventually it's all mellow, all sad kind of, but we can't say colors are sad, but that it gives us that feeling. And
Yeah, it
eventually when
does.
she
It does.
dies,
That's a good point. Yeah.
eventually she dies, and again we see flowers are showered on her dead body, but I think it was just Venu Udugula giving homage to that. But again, but yeah,
The poet he is. Yeah, as you say.
yeah, he's very poetic. His first film is also very very poetic. I think you should try watching it.
I will watch it. I have not watched it. I will watch it.
Yeah, you
It's
should.
just that I need to get a subtitle version. That becomes difficult at times. You know where it is
I
with the
no, I
subtitle?
think it is difficult. I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, there is this. I think Sun Next is actually streaming the film, but we are not sure if it has subtitles. So we'll let you know.
Subtitles, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think. I think. Yeah, I think that's all. I mean, do
That's
we have
all,
any?
yeah.
We have any closing thoughts? We can wrap it up. Sandy.
No, I think it was a good attempt, but it did not sit well with the audience, like a lot of films in our industry. It's fine, but I really hope he gets the budget he wants for the next film, because the first movie he made it with 2 crores or some 2 to 4 crores, and this was made with 45 crores. I hope people still believe he can make good movies and give him some space to create movies like this. Yeah.
Sure.
True. Yeah, even I hope the same. And I think the 45 crores, most of it was going to the production house, I guess, because I mean production design, because it feels so authentic, and it actually feels like we are seeing a 90s film with all the old buses and the old school, and there was detailing even in the boards of the degree college. We see boards of a chaiwala or something, even the ad posters on the wall. Every minute detail is actually written in the font of the 90s, with the language of that 90s and rural
True,
Telangana.
true.
So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was that was very well translated. Hopefully he gets time to write even better stories and better budgets for the next film. So yeah.
And
And
thanks to Rana and Sai again, I mean, for supporting such projects, being there with directors with new voice, authentic voice, fresh voice. So yeah,
true. Yeah, truly. So yeah, thank you Arup for coming over.
such a pleasure to talk cinema with you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.